As I was walking out, I showed a yell from my sister. I was like, look, this is what I'm talking about. And we seen the guy trapped inside the floor, reaching. His hands were as if, you know, placed upon the glass, both hands. Um, as if like you're pushing a glass open. That's how he was inside, trapped inside with his face just looking out. And this was on the floor. So you would look down on the doormat and you would see this. You would see him. How did he get under there? That's a whole nother dream I just haven't received yet. Actually, it was a it was a woman. She she was like a friend of the husband, the one that's trapped underneath the floor. She was a friend, and the wife was angry. The wife was angry because they were getting too close. So, as the husband was explaining to the friend what was going on with the wife, he was actually talking about the wife, and the wife was standing outside the door, listening to everything that he was saying. And the more she listened, the more angry she became, and she started to clench the a knife in her hand, the knife handle. So the friend was just sitting there listening. This was a woman, and she started to agree with everything he was saying. So she went to the door as if she was about to open it. So she held the doorknob, but she was skeptical. But then she wound up opening it, and the wife stabbed her in the stomach. She went after the husband, and I guess that's how he got underneath the floor. I don't know if she stabbed her or not. I think she paused before she stabbed her. I don't think she stabbed her. But I know the friend was the one that was responsible for the husband being underneath the floor. And it was like right at the door entrance. It was like a doormat that had the same, that was the same, basically replicating with the floor, with him in the floor, inside the floor. But if you move the doormat, because this is like a cover up, so you move the doormat and you can actually see him, banging on the floor, on the ground, outside of the home of the front door of the home, like let me out, you know. So as I was showing my sister and explaining this to her, she left the kids in the car, and the kids wound up having they wound up figuring out how to turn on the car, and this kind of reminded me of a memory I had when me and my brother or my somebody was in the car with me, and they dared me to start the car, and we started the car and we put it in reverse, and it made the car go backwards and into the road. This was at my grand auntie's house. Yeah, it drove. It was in reverse, and I think I went in the driver's seat, and they dared me to do it. And we put the car in reverse. It was like, dude, they dared me to, and I ended up doing it. And so, I think my mom ran outside. But yeah, it stopped right at the curb though. It didn't go all the way. Like it went into the street, but the curb stopped the car from carrying on. Like it just stopped right at the curb. So I don't know. That's what this reminded me of. But yeah, my sister, she. Oh yeah, so the two kids in the car wound up starting the car, and putting it in drive. They didn't put it in reverse like we did. They put it in drive, and they drove it right off of the cliff into the ocean. And it was cold and it was icy, and that's where they drove it to. So I wound up going straight into the ocean. And I wind up going right after them. Like I'm running, you know. I ran out there and I jumped into the ocean and I got them. And I think it was a little girl and a baby. Or a little girl and a baby. And this little girl was holding the baby so that, you know, it wouldn't drown or something. They was holding each other. So I jumped in there and I grabbed him. And after that, I didn't see whether I got out of the water or not. So my my sister and somebody else, they was driving, riding around, trying to figure out where they went with the car. And then somebody was like, I think it was me. I was also with them in the back seat. And I'm like, they drove off of the cliff right across the street from where we was. Did y'all not see that? And it was like, oh, okay. So we had to turn back around and go to the cliff where they drove off of. And we got there, and it was like, I'm running. Like, they went down there, and then I got out the car, and I'm running down there. I'm like, did y'all get it? And they looked at me. I was like, did y'all get them? And they looked at me like, you knew the whole time. I was like, it was like, you drove, I mean, you were here already. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't know if I got out of the water or not. I didn't know if I made it out of the water saving the kids. Like, I couldn't make it to that part. I didn't know. I couldn't see that part where, like, did I save them or not? And I guess I did save them. The baby was still frozen. And the other child, I'm thinking I don't know if it's a girl or boy, but the baby was still frozen, and the other child was breathing, like, slowly, was awoke but still cold. So we were starting a fire. We started to start a fire down there to keep them warm and unthaw the baby. So yeah, we did get the fire going, and we were just camping down there. And I think that's how much I remember of this part of the journey. But yeah, it was like a crazy dream, but it was interesting, you know. I mean, mind you, that water was super cold. It was frozen when I jumped in there and saved these kids. So I was at two places. I was in two places at once. I didn't get to see myself at rescuing the kids fully, but I know I jumped into the water. But they were worried and concerned. That's why they looked at me like, you know, you had us concerned this whole time and you already saved them. I'm like, and that's when I kind of reminded. I told them, like, I don't know if I saved them. I didn't see it past that point. Maybe because I had to go get y'all first, you know, to go see if to see if they were rescued or not, you know. And then they kind of just was feeling some type of way because they knew, or, well, because I knew, but I didn't know. So yeah, the car was still in the water, but the kids were out. One was frozen, one was, you know, alive and coughing. We didn't figure out if the baby was alive or not. We just know that the baby was frozen. In actuality, if someone is frozen, they are dead. They are considered dead. But in this one movie I watched that was based on a true story, was like this little girl was frozen for I don't know how long, and then they got her unthawed and she was alive. And I'm just like, if you freeze, like in reality, if you freeze, you're dead. You're considered dead. Your heart is stopped. You know, it ain't no I'm bringing this person back to life type thing. You know, when you're frozen, you're dead. You know, so that's what that movie kind of didn't make sense to me. When a little girl came back to life and they're talking about it's a real thing. Like, you're frozen. Ain't no, oh, I'm in a coma. Or I'm like, but that could be the case. Like, if you're frozen, could you be in a coma? What?
What's that?
Like, if you're frozen, could you go into a coma? But even in a coma, you're alive. Your heart is still beating. But if you're frozen, you're dead. Like, you're considered dead. So, I don't know. Like, how is this based on a true story? How is that movie based on a true story if, in reality, if you freeze, you die. You freeze to death. You know, ain't nobody coming back from being frozen. So yeah. So I guess but in my dream, like I said, I was kind of confused. I guess I was hopeful, you know, when I went to go get my sister and them. In my mind, I'm like, I'm not even really, like, I was trying to figure out why I couldn't see past the point of, did I rescue them or not? Like, were they saved? And then I was like, oh, you know, I gotta go get them because they driving off in search mode because they didn't see that the car went off the cliff like I did. So then I guess that's when that's when I went to tell them. And if me telling them and getting them back to, you know, telling them the truth and getting them back to, and helping them get to where the kids was, since I knew, was basically like a puzzle piece to me seeing what happened with me and the kids in that moment. So I had to get them where we was for me to see what happened. So when they got there, I got to see whether I rescued them or not. And it turns out that I did rescue them, but what I didn't see later on was, you know, I knew that if a child freezes to death, it's considered dead. But the fact that I seen these movies based on true stories and stuff, and people on YouTube talking about, this person was froze for a certain amount of time, but they, were alive. They was brought to life, or you know, they were considered alive after, getting them into some heat and stuff like that. Kind of just clouded my judgment, and I was just like hopeful to where, we make these fires and we'll unthaw the baby, and the baby may still be alive. So we making this fire, and I'm showing them how to make the fire and this and that, and we wind up lighting this. Well, actually, I ain't show him like this. The one person, like, he did his fire his way, and I did my fire my way, and he was just learning off of me how I did the fire. But yeah, we were just making fires to basically get the kids warm, but at the same time, we're looking for it, and we're hopeful towards the situation with the baby. Like, maybe this baby is not dead, and dead wasn't even in our mind. We didn't even think, we canceled out that thought at all. Like, it was not dead. This baby was frozen, but we can thaw this baby. We was hopeful. We was lighting fires and getting it warm and stuff like that. But you know, realistically, in actuality, when a human is frozen, that human is dead. It's not alive. So yeah, but I guess me being hopeful towards the situation just kept that dream alive for me. But yeah, it was sad. So yeah, that is my dream. Like, comment, subscribe, if I share at your own free will to show you care. Bye.